So have we ever experienced that very often I experience myself as one personality, a personality I like being, and at other times I'm myself surprised at the kind of thoughts and emotions that go through me. Does that happen? Can we talk more about it, like examples of this disparity in our being?
I think it happens to me when I'm with
Loud, Shruti.
I think it happens to me when I'm with different kinds of people. Some people that I know when I'm around, and then the conversation will kind of turn into such where like these thoughts come about when I don't want to be having these thoughts and I don't want to be having these conversations, but sometimes it's very hard to also stop.
Yeah. And sometimes when maybe not even with people, when you're just with yourself, you find a completely different personality flowing through you, right? A personality that you like being, and then you don't know where it gets lost and when it seizes you again. So, Mother and Sri Aurobindo talk about the higher nature and the lower nature. It's like there's water. If heat is sucked out of the water, it becomes dense and hard like ice. The same water, if it's given enough warmth, it becomes steam. But it's the same water. So we are one divine substrate which at times takes on the higher nature. The higher nature is that part of us where we are one with the mother inside us, the prakriti and the higher prakriti. We did one class on the mother symbol. Last class was on the immutable smile, something in us which never loses its joy. So that's the higher nature within us. And there is also the lower nature, which is our surface being with all its competitiveness, jealousies, insecurities, fear, whatever. And really, this yoga is about inviting our higher nature to transform the lower nature, because all of us have these two within us. Okay, it's like that Red Indian story of having two wolves within us. A grandfather tells a child that always you have two wolves within you, the good wolf and the bad wolf, and they are always fighting. The higher nature is always trying to pull us towards itself and the lower nature towards itself. And the child asks the grandfather, then which wolf finally wins? And the grandfather says, the wolf you feed is the wolf that wins. The question is, how do we feed the higher nature? And that the whole process of feeding the other wolf is where mother comes in and where integral yoga really begins. So if you open your phones, if you've downloaded the PDF, Vijal has sent. All of you got it? Okay. So these are lines from Savitri. Two beings he was, one wide and free above. The higher nature is wide and free. In a higher nature, all those qualities of the mother, generosity, courage, goodness, it's already there. Somebody's very beautifully said that you can't become good by trying to be good. You become good by tuning into what already exists within you, by just removing the veils over it. So, two beings he was, one wide and free above, one struggling, bound, intense, its portion here. A tie between them still could bridge two worlds. So he was two beings, and the whole thing is the tie between them still could bridge two worlds. There was a dim response, a distant breath. All had not ceased in the unbounded hush. His heart lay somewhere, conscious and alone, far down below him like a lamp in night. Abandoned it lay, alone, imperishable, immobile with excess of passionate will. This is about Ashwapati. He's feeling these two beings, the higher nature and the lower nature, and his heart is the psychic being, lays somewhere conscious and alone, far down below him like a lamp in night. Abandoned it lay, alone, imperishable, immobile, with excess of passionate will. His living sacrificed and offered heart, absorbed in adoration mystical, turned to a far-off fount of light and love. In the luminous stillness of its mute appeal. So, the aspiration of the psychic being, beautifully described as the luminous stillness of its mute appeal. It's not excited, it's not agitated, it's a luminous stillness of a quiet appeal. In the luminous stillness of its mute appeal, it looked up to heights it could not see. It yearned from the longing depths it could not leave. So the psychic being is caught between the higher nature and the lower nature. The higher nature is about heights it could not see, and the depths are the lower nature that pulls it down. So there's a beautiful poem of Sri Aurobindo, a sonnet called The Tree, which says, a tree standing beside a river shore, earth-bound, heaven amorous. It's bound to the earth, but it's in love with the heaven. Body and brain, hungry for the earth, its heavenly flight detained. So that's how each of us is like that tree, earth-bound, heaven amorous. It's in love with heaven, but it's tied to the earth. Body and brain, hungry for the earth, its heavenly flight detained. Our body and brain are sort of so enmeshed with the lower nature that heavenly flight detained. It looked up to the heights it could not see. It yearned from the longing depths it could not leave. In the center of his vast and faithful trance, halfway between his free and fallen selves, interceding twixt God's day and the mortal's night, accepting worship as its single law, accepting bliss as the sole cause of things, refusing the austere joy which none can share, refusing the calm that lives for calm alone, to her return for whom it willed to be. So the psychic being is always turned to the mother like the sunflower towards the sun. So we might have a lot of revolt, a lot of negativity on our surface being, but deep down the psychic being within us is always turned to light, like the sunflower towards the sun. The spiritual significance mother has given for the sunflower is consciousness turned towards light. That's its very nature. It doesn't know how to turn its face away from the light. And that's how our psychic being also is. To her it turned, for whom it willed to be. In the passion of its solitary dream, it lay like a closed, soundless oratory. Oratory is a place of worship. So the psychic being is in the passion of its solitary dream. It lay like a closed, soundless oratory where sleeps a consecrated argent floor, lit by a single and untrembling ray, and an invisible presence kneels in prayer. So the psychic being is like a higher self, constantly within us, kneeling in prayer. So I'll just read this without explanation. Just feel these lines as what they speak to you. Two beings he was, one wide and free above, one struggling, bound, intense, its portion here. A tie between them still could bridge two worlds. There was a dim response, a distant breath. All had not ceased in the unbounded hush. His heart lay somewhere, conscious and alone. Far down below him like a lamp in night. Abandoned it lay, alone, imperishable, immobile with excess of passionate will. His living sacrifice and offered heart, absorbed in adoration mystical, turned to its far-off fount of light and love. In the luminous stillness of its mute appeal, it looked up to the heights it could not see. It yearned from the longing depths it could not leave. In the center of his vast and faithful trance, halfway between his free and fallen selves, interceding twixt God's day and mortal's night, accepting worship as its single law, accepting bliss as the sole cause of things, refusing the austere joy which none can share, refusing the calm that lives for calm alone. To her it turned, for whom it will to be. In the passion of its solitary dream, it lay like a closed, soundless oratory where sleeps a consecrated argent floor lit by a single and untrembling ray, and an invisible presence kneels in prayer. The higher prakriti is the true nature of the divine, so it can show light and ananda to people who are trying to reach the highest truth. It is a help to sadhaks, but the lower prakriti is impure and blind and can only show a limited truth and a brief ananda. Everything comes from the divine, but the lower prakriti is the power of ignorance. It is not therefore a power of truth, but only of mixed truth and falsehood. The mother here stands not for the power of ignorance, but for the power that has come down to bring down the truth and rise up to the truth out of the ignorance. So somebody asked Sri Aurobindo, X told me that whatever we do, it is the divine who acts through us. But it seems to me that the divine cannot be behind all we do, because we do not always do the right thing. Is there any truth in what X says? There is this much truth that the cosmic force works out everything, and the cosmic spirit, Virat Purusha, supports her action. But this cosmic force is a power that works under the conditions of ignorance. It appears as the lower nature, and the lower nature makes you do wrong things. The divine allows the play of these forces so long as you do not yourself want anything better. But if you are a sadhak, then you do not accept the play of the lower nature. You turn to the Divine Mother instead and ask her to work through you instead of the lower nature. It is only when you have turned entirely in every part of your being to the Divine Mother and to her alone that the divine will do all actions through you. So this is a very important question. We have said everything is the divine and the divine does everything. And the sadhak asks that then is it true that I can say that whatever I do, my bouts of anger, jealousy, anxiety, is that also the divine? So Sri Aurobindo is explaining that the divine works through you, but it's the same water. But if you take away the warmth of the mother's presence from it, it becomes ice. It's hard. It's the lower nature. If you infuse it with the mother's presence, which is warm, which finally makes it into water vapor, it becomes the higher nature. It's the same substrate, but depending on what it opens to, it functions differently. And he says that the lower nature will keep functioning through you unless you open it to the mother's presence and you invite her to work through you. That's why his whole yoga is actually summed up by his symbol. The upward triangle are call, the lower prakriti calling to the higher prakriti. The downward triangle, the mother's force descending in response. And the square is the earth element. The lotus blossoming is the higher nature blossoming in us. On earth, square is on earth. On earth, without escaping, the higher nature blossoming in us is the lotus flowering in us. So, in his yoga, until of course we are so open that aspiration becomes our constant state, it's very important to keep calling the mother and calling down her. So, suppose I'm feeling a mind state of a lot of anxiety, a lot of resentment, a lot of anger. I have a choice of sometimes just staying with it, then it will just go on. It will keep doing its own thing. It will build fresh samskaras, which will attract to me more situations, which will bring out more of this, right? When an emotion arises and I get overwhelmed by it, I'm generating samskaras and karmas. So I'll keep attracting more situations like that to me in time to come. But if when that negative emotion arises, I call mother, that mother, I don't want to feel this, but it has gripped me. I don't know what to do. Uh, and sometimes I'm so gripped by it that I'm calling, but the call is also mechanical. That's when, if I have access to the heart space or the overhead space, and I connect over there and I call mother from there, it's quite magical what happens. Or suppose I'm in the middle of, I'm in a situation, I'm at work, I'm with people, I don't have space to do that, and I get overwhelmed by that emotion. At least before I sleep, if I am conscious and sincere and I know that I've let these emotions overwhelm me, at least before I sleep, let me tell mother that today this happened. I was overwhelmed by the lower nature. But I don't want to feel this resentment or jealousy or whatever. And let me consciously offer it to her. And it's amazing how she changes. You may not feel its effect immediately, but if you're sincere and you keep praying and offering, it's amazing how she'll make you feel different towards the same person over a period of time. But that's where sincerity is very important. When we were doing qualities of the mother, she said sincerity is one of the most important. What is sincerity? To be ruthless with yourself. If you, and that doesn't mean there's a fine line between the discernment to see where you're going wrong and just flogging yourself. That's also pointless to keep saying I'm bad, bad, bad. But to give in to a burst of negativity and then to justify it to myself, that's being insincere. But if I'm really sincere, I'll say that, yeah, it came out, but I don't want it. I don't want to generate this cycle where it keeps coming back to me again and again. And mother is the one force that can break that cycle. Remember those beautiful lines, at the head she stands, of birth and toil and fate. In their slow rounds, the cycles turn to her call. These cycles are also emotional cycles. They turn to her call. Alone her hands can change time's dragon base. Hers is the mystery the time conceals. The spirit's alchemist energy is hers. The spirit's ability to transform the lower nature into the higher nature is hers. But I should want to change it. If I keep making other people wrong in my head and justifying my outbursts or whatever, then I'm not only inviting her into the equation, then I'll keep getting caught in the same cycle again and again. But if I'm really sincere and I call to her to change my anger, my resentment, my anxiety, it's magical how she works. I mustn't say, okay, it's natural, now I feel it. When I'm with mother, in fact, there was such a beautiful, it's not in the screen share, but I'll read it to you and maybe we can add it to the PDF. Beautiful words, I'll read it to you. These are words of Ellen Caddy. There is no need for suffering in the new age. For those souls who are moving into the new, suffering is no more. If you still feel that suffering is necessary, you are not of the new, but are firmly stuck in the old. There you will remain, drawing suffering to yourself until of your own free will you move on and accept that it is no more. Concentrate on the wonders and joys of this life and accept the very best, which is your true heritage. It is not being an ostrich afraid of life and not facing it. It is seeing the reality of this glorious life which is yours, and in doing so, helping to bring it about. So in a way, this is what Mother and Sri Aurobindo say in different words, that there is no need for suffering in the new age. For souls who are moving into the new age, suffering is no more. If you still feel that suffering is necessary, you are not of the new, but firmly stuck in the old. There you will remain, drawing suffering to yourself until of your own free will you move on and accept that it is no more. Concentrate on the wonders and joys of this life and accept the very best, which is your true heritage. It is not being an ostrich, afraid of life and not facing it. It is seeing the reality of this glorious life which is yours, and in doing so, helping to bring it about. The more clearly you can see it, the more quickly will it come about. Accept the vision of the new heaven and new earth and hold it ever in your consciousness, for it is no unattainable dream. It is reality, and you are part of it. So, I'll suffer to the extent that I'm stuck in my old nature. But if I'm really inviting the new nature into me, suffering will become less and less. The amount I'm walking the sunlit path is measured by how much I'm suffering less and less. Why would you say that? Because even I'll say that even if I want to walk the sunlit path, there are still beings around me who are stuck in their old nature, who will do things to make me suffer. But how can I still suffer less? With the same triggers, with the same, normal things which trigger me, when will it be possible for me to suffer less and less?
But how can we bring our new self? The negativity will keep being there and provoking us and being there. So,
Yeah, that is the negative, the lower nature in others will bring out the lower nature in us. That's the way we live, right? That's the way we tango with our environment. But that's the point. The amount, the extent to which we stay connected to Mother's presence inside us, to that extent, we won't suffer from the negativity that's flung at us. So, always good to begin our day instead of looking at the mobile. That's one thing we should all do. Don't look at the mobile at least for an hour after you wake up, because you begin only on a very restless, agitated note. Begin the day with at least 5-10 minutes of concentration on the mother. Maybe you feel like in the morning you're too thumbsick to meditate, then walk, do whatever, or listen to a talk, do read a book, do whatever connects you to the mother. The first half, a thing well begun is half done, they say, no? How you begin the day sets the tone for your whole day. So do whatever connects you in the first 1 hour of the day, and then on and off through the day, even 2 minutes. Just remember the mother, pray to her, keep your connection with her throughout the day. If you have access to the heart or the overhead space, 2 minutes connect to those spaces. I would say instead of sitting half an hour, just 3-4 minutes several times a day, it'll help build a bridge between the higher and the lower nature. Otherwise, half an hour you have a good meditation, but somehow there's no bridge for it to come down into your lower nature. And the moment a negative reaction arises towards somebody, carry the mother with you into that reaction. Immediately remember her mother anger is coming and it's seizing me. If it's my karma to go through the anger, okay, but you come with me, you be with me through the process of getting angry. Anxiety is coming, but you be with me through the process of being anxious. whatever mind state that's coming from the lower nature, let me have the vigil to instantly invite her, and it'll be amazing what she does. Because really, when we function from the lower nature, it'll be the same cycle again and again. And at some point, if we want to walk the sunlit path, we have to break out of that cycle. So then somebody asks, how can I know that the mother is working in me? I believe that everything is done by the mother, the good things and the bad. But X believes that very few things are done according to her will. How can I know what is divine and what is undivine? That's the question that was asked to Sri Aurobindo. Why should the mother do bad things in you? It is nature that acts for that, not the will of the mother. It's not the mother who acts through you, making you anxious or angry or whatever. It's the lower nature. It's not the will of the mother. You can at least know that anger, jealousy, envy, restlessness, despair, indolence, etc. are not divine things, and that purity, peace, harmony, zeal, unselfishness, etc. are good things and help the growth to the divine. So recognize that all these are not mother's will in you. The mother's will in you is to live in the higher nature. But you have to collaborate with her so that her will may be worked out. Mother asks, no, the world is preparing for a big change. Will you help? Every time one human being conquers anger in him, the energy of anger weakens in the whole collective consciousness. So you want to help the earth, you help it the most by conquering aspects of the lower nature in yourself. So, some mantras that help this transformation, taken from letters of Sri Aurobindo. There's a beautiful volume, Letters on the Mother by Sri Aurobindo. This is from there. So, mantra for sleep. Now, sleep is very, very important because very often you'll find, sorry, did I skip one? Mantra for work. So, all that is done in me by nature, I offer wholeheartedly for transformation to thee, O Mother. So, when I'm working, what is it in the lower nature that comes? In work, what is the stronghold of the lower nature? Laziness. Huh? Competitiveness. I want to be recognized for my work. I'm looking for appreciation. Huh? Comparison, competitiveness. I want to be told how good the work is, or I'm always very frightened that what if I'm criticized? What if others are praised more than me? What if I don't deliver? So that is the lower nature, which is always wanting karma phal, which wants the fruit of my work. So that is nature working in me. So the mantra is, all that is done in me by nature, I offer wholeheartedly for transformation to thee. So I know all this is there and it's in the lower nature, and I really can't do much to change it because it has such a momentum in my being because of past habit. But I offer it wholeheartedly to you, O Mother, to be transformed. So the lower nature will work out of karma phal ichcha, wanting reward for the work, competitiveness, egoism, wanting limelight, wanting to shine more than others. All this is in the lower nature. How would I work if I worked out of the higher nature? or if I have ever had windows where I've worked from the higher nature, what has my experience been?
Just do your best.
You're just doing it as kartavyam karma, as something that you can't help but do. You can't help but breathe. I'm doing it because I can't help but do it.
It happens through you.
It happens through you, and there's no doership. You fully recognize that you're an instrument, that she is working through you, and there's that full experience of karma pal parityaga, fully given up my claim to the fruit. So if I'm praised, the praise is offered to her. If I'm criticized, that criticism is also offered to her. I'm not too bothered about how I'm received. When I'm acting from the higher nature, I'm not doing it for the audience's eyes, or I'm not doing it for that mark on paper or whatever. I'm doing it because it's a joy to do it, and I'm completely surrendered in that work. Now, if I've never experienced this window, I don't know what it means, which is also fine. But I can still invite Mother that give me an experience of it just for one day, just for 1 hour. Give me this experience where I can work without ego, without the sense of I, without that sense of responsibility and burden. And when can that really happen? When I've really surrendered to her. When I've really said, this work is yours, I'm yours, you do it how you think it best. And that's where this mantra comes. I offer all that is done in me by nature. I offer wholeheartedly for transformation. Because why I love this mantra is, it's not saying that I surrender the work, etc., etc., because frankly, that's just lip service if I'm functioning from my lower nature. I don't know how to surrender. I'm totally consumed by my desire for success, for targets, for whatever. So, how do I say I surrender when that's not a reality for me? But this mantra is so beautiful. It's saying, all that is done in me by nature, I offer wholeheartedly for transformation to thee, O Mother. Okay, let's just repeat it. All that is done in me, just shut your eyes and repeat it. All that is done in me by nature, I offer wholeheartedly for transformation to thee, O Mother. All that is done in me by nature, I offer wholeheartedly for transformation to thee, O Mother. And one last time. All that is done in me by nature, I offer wholeheartedly for transformation to thee, O Mother. The only thing I can do is to offer it wholeheartedly. I should really want to do it differently. If I feel I'm doing everything right by my will, by my ego, then this mantra doesn't even come into the equation, and there's no wholeheartedness in it anyways.
What does it mean in the sense practically?
Practically, it means, Avinash, I'm completely combined in my in union with my lower nature. The lower nature is making me ambitious, competitive, despondent when the rewards don't come, flattered when the rewards come. All that is my lower nature. I know that at least I'm conscious of. I may not be conscious of the mother in that time, but at least I'm conscious of this, and this I'm offering to you, Mother. This is all I know. I don't know better, and I will not know better till you transform me. Because I can know anything only through experience, no? If I haven't had the experience of working with at least a diminished ego, if not without an ego, then I don't know what it is. But unless you transform my ego to the higher ego of the higher prakriti, I won't know what it means. So I'm offering it wholeheartedly to you. I know this is not the best way to work, because if the work is creating anxiety, stress, rancor, ill will with my competitors, or disappointment in myself, I know this is not the best way to work. So I'm offering it to you to be transformed. I'm wholeheartedly offering my nature to you to be transformed. I can just stay with that prayer and then see what she does.
Question.
Yeah.
If you do something which you would not like to do, you feel bad. When there is a physical one, like you just get to know I've done this bad, I know it's this wrong thing. Now, how do you?
Yeah, but we have more than a physical mother. What's your name? Dwanil. Oh, you're Dwanil. Okay. If we have a physical mother, she's not with us 24/7. But this mother is inside us, and I'm not saying it poetically. It's a very living, real fact. She has said, I am always with you because I am you. These are her words. So she's always with you, and the moment you tell her that, Mother, I've done this, and she has said, never feel guilty. Guilt is the most corrosive emotion to your progress. Whatever you've done, offer it to her, ask her, what do I have to learn from this? And how do I change so that I don't make this mistake again? And leave it at that. And really tell her, Mother, this particular aspect of my nature has made me do this. I'm offering it to you, wholeheartedly offering it to you. You change it. And Vanil, all of us have been touched by her and will be touched by her. If you do this sincerely, you'll just be surprised at how you'll change. The same person who irritates you so much or brings out, you just keep working with the mother in your inner space, you'll be surprised how soft you'll feel towards the person. And you won't realize it till it happens. When you're interacting with that person, you'll suddenly realize, how did I feel like this? How did it change? You won't understand. But that's her working in you. And Sri Aurobindo writes that the mother's working is so swift that not even the most intelligent mind can understand it or keep pace with it. You just have to wholeheartedly offer that to her, and she changes it. So that's the mantra for work. Who can say it in your own words? Because it's no point if it's here. Somewhere we should have some memory of it to say it. Say it in your own words. How will you say it?
Do all work as though I'm in your presence.
Okay. Or you want to change your nature through the work, right? So what will you say?
I offer all my anxiety, doubts, fears to the transformation.
Okay. If that's what, or I offer my need for affirmation, or I offer my nature, the nature that's arising in me as I work, I offer that nature to you wholeheartedly for transformation. Now, for some of us, that nature can be anxiety. For some of us, it can be laziness. So I'll do the work in a half-baked way. For some of us, it can be anger. I don't want to do it, but I have to do it. Or whatever, the nature that's rising in me as I'm working, I'm offering that nature wholeheartedly to you for transformation. Yeah? Can anyone say it in their own words? Or these words, just tell me, what will you say before you work or as you work?
Another one could be, Mother, please help me with the anger, anxiety that comes.
Yeah, but always it won't be anger, anxiety.
Yeah, anything.
If you say nature, this nature which is arising in me as I work, I offer it wholeheartedly to you for transformation. Of course, you can word it in any way, but Sri Aurobindo is so precise when he gives us these mantras. It kind of covers the whole range of everything we would go through. Yeah?
I feel that if we want to change, and if I've done something wrong, immediately for me, at least now has start coming that it clicks in my head that, oh, I shouldn't have done this. I just offer it to mother and say, mother, please don't get this thought again in my mind.
Very
It's,
good. Very good. Very good. But in a way, before beginning every word, if we have a mantra, in ancient times, there was the Vedanta philosophy, which was about just becoming silent and knowing everything is Brahma. And that was created by Ved Vyasa. But he had a disciple, Jaimini, who said, but this is only for the spiritual elite. Everyone can't silence their mind and realize everything's Brahma. So he said, I want to create a philosophy which will be accessible to every lay person. So he created the school of philosophy called Purva Mimamsa. What is Purva Mimamsa? Jaimini culled out mantras from the Brahmanas, which is part of the Upanishad, for every activity you do. So there's a mantra which is said, of course, in Sanskrit, but we do it in English. This is Purva Mimamsa in English. Moment you wake up, you say a mantra for your day. You have a mantra before eating. You have a mantra before working. You have a mantra before sleeping. So really it becomes, make of your daily way a pilgrimage, for through small acts you reach God. So these mantras are to constantly remind you not to do the activity out of your lower nature, but to invite the higher nature into every activity that you do. It's all about that really. Okay? So these mantras are very useful. You should maybe go home and do homework and decide 3 or 4 activities before work or before sleep or before bathing, whatever. And you have your mantra in whatever language you like, but involving mother, and remember to say it before you do whatever you do. So before mantra, before sleep. Now sleep is again very important, because we could have had a day which is spiritually very illumined, but we go to sleep and we wake up feeling like we've lost everything, because you sink into the subconscious very often when you sleep. So all the darkness from the subconscious sometimes comes up and you wake up feeling like a rag. It happens, many nights. So it's very important to go to sleep in a good state of mind. So he's given us a mantra for sleep. Let your force take over my sadhana during sleep, to make my sleep conscious and luminous, to protect me during the sleep, to keep me conscious of the mother. Okay? Let your force take over my sadhana during sleep. So if your force is not taking over my sadhana during sleep, I'll sink into the subconscious. Let your force take over my sadhana during sleep, to make my sleep conscious and luminous, to protect me during the sleep, because sometimes I get quite attacked during sleep. When I sleep, I may go into many vital worlds, and sometimes you actually wake up with bruises on your legs or arms, because you've actually been attacked in the vital worlds. You may not have a memory of it, but it happens. But if we go with the mother's protection into sleep, how different our sleep would be. So, let your force take over my sadhana during sleep, to make my sleep conscious and luminous, to protect me during the sleep, to make me conscious of the mother. You can come and do. When I wake up at any time in the sleep, I pray to the mother to be with me and protect me. Sometimes we wake up and then we don't sleep very well after waking up. So this is what Sri Aurobindo has given us. When I wake up at any time in the sleep, I pray to the mother to be with me and protect me. Okay? So let your force take over my sadhana during sleep to make my sleep conscious and luminous, to protect me during the sleep, to keep me conscious of the mother. So 3 things. Let your force take over my sadhana during the sleep to make my sleep conscious. Protect me during the sleep, and during the sleep keep me conscious of the mother. So what are the 3 things? Let your force take over my sadhana during sleep. Protect me in my sleep, and let me be conscious of the mother even in my sleep. Okay, these 3 things. 4th thing, if I wake up in the middle of the night, be with me and protect me. Let me fall asleep again remembering you. So what are the 4 things? First thing, let your force take over my sadhana in the sleep. Second, protect me in my sleep. Let me be conscious of your presence in my sleep. And if I wake up, also be with me. You might have to, yeah.
How do you say, like, was it feeling like saying this prohibited just for the heck of saying it? Versus actually saying it?
Avinash, it's your desire. Do you really want this? Or are you happy with the way you sleep? If you really want it, you'll say it with all the will of your being, and that will bring down mother's force. If you don't want it and you say it mechanically, nothing will happen. It's always the intention behind the words. So that's
But
the.
then, won't you judge whether it worked by the success of it?
Won't you judge by the success of it? Uh, yes, but there again, there is lack of surrender. What I would do is, I feel that if I've really prayed to the mother sincerely, if there's been sincerity in my prayer, mother has said every sincere prayer is answered. To what extent, why should I judge with my limited intelligence? So, Avinash, with mother now, we've to let go of judgments with our mind. Our mind can't judge her workings. And we should not even try. We should just say, once I've offered it to the mother, once I've prayed to her, there's no way she can't hear me. We did that last Savitri class, no? There was that beautiful words of the mother where she says that if you think of me, you are already in my consciousness. Because if you weren't in my consciousness, there's no way you'd have thought of me. So if I'm in her consciousness, I'm thinking of her and I'm praying to her, why should I even question whether it's successful or not? I just say I've done it, and after doing it, even if my night is very bad, I'll say that it's her force pulling out things that need to be pulled out. Who am I to judge with my night?
And you said also that you don't know when it comes. You can just feel it through the process.
Exactly. Then the mantra for meditation. May the mother's force take over my meditation and make it deep, steady, concentrated, and free from all attacks of troubling thoughts, vital restlessness, etc. May the mother's force take over my meditation, that's 1. Make it deep, steady, concentrated, and free from all attacks of troubling thoughts, vital restlessness, etc. Such a beautiful mantra he's given us for meditation. So just like sleep, may the mother's force take over my sleep. This is, may the mother's force take over my meditation and make it deep, steady, concentrated, free from all attacks of troubling thoughts, vital restlessness, etc. That's what we need in meditation, right? Why do we not succeed in meditating? Because of troubling thoughts, vital restlessness. So may it protect me from troubling thoughts, vital restlessness, may it be deep, steady, and may the mother's force. See, I realized very recently, and I felt very sheepish about it. In fact, I realized it as recently as 24th November Siddhi Day when I was meditating here. We always feel when we are meditating, we fall back on a method. We are told concentrate in the heart, go overhead, watch the breath. And we enter the meditation with a great ambition that I'm doing. I will concentrate here, I will do this. But I feel that's where we are going wrong. For meditating, we have to somewhere drop doership. We have to just open to the mother and let her do whatever she has to do. But I don't know how that can be taught. That's just grace when it happens. But when I go into, see, I live my whole life with ambition that I'll do my best. So I meditate also with that ambition, and it doesn't work. Beyond a point, you have to move out and you have to let her take over. But that surrender also, if you say, I will surrender, then again that I is there. You can't surrender with the I somehow. When the I drops, surrender happens. Or at least it becomes diminished, it goes to the background.
Somewhere to start, we can.
Sorry?
Somewhere to start, we can.
Somewhere we'll explore this more. I've chosen a beautiful passage from Synthesis of Yoga. Maybe his words will make it more clear. It will come as we go along. But so may the mother's force take over my meditation. It's not that may I meditate like this or that. May the mother's force take over my meditation and make it deep, steady, concentrated, and free from all attacks of troubling thoughts, vital, restless. That's the key. If you don't say anything else, but this is the key. May your force take over. So all methods drop, all ambition drop. See, in meditation also, because I've read Sri Aurobindo say, bring down the light. I'll do all that. I'll try to bring down the light, peace, force. All that is good up to a certain point, but you'll get pretty stuck beyond the point. Because if that I wants to bring it down, there's only a limited amount that will come because it will fit the mold of your I. But if you drop that I and you just open to it, then infinity works through you. Otherwise, it fits the mold of your demand. I mean, mother's so kind, she will even respond to our demand. How will she not? But it's limited by my demand. Are you all understanding what I'm saying?
How do you start?
Yeah, you start with that demand. But at least start with an aspiration that mother, I want to move out. I want your force to take over. At least start with that aspiration because you don't know how to move out. None of us do. It's only her grace that can create that window where we move out. So may the mother's force take over my meditation and make it deep, steady, concentrated and free from all attacks of troubling thoughts, vital restlessness, etc. Okay, so I've chosen some mantra Sri Aurobindo has given, our own version of Purva Mimamsa for the day. Then the right way of loving the mother. This is again a letter of Sri Aurobindo to the sadhak. The contact between mother and child means not only that the mother should love the child, but that the child should love the mother and obey her. You want to be the true child of the mother, but the first thing for that is to put yourself into her hands and let her guide you and to follow her will and not disregard it or revolt against her. You know all this perfectly well. Why do you ignore it? So, contact between mother and child, we expect the mother to love us all the time. But do we ever pause to think how much during the day have I loved the mother? I take it for granted that she has to love me and look after me. But have I taken a moment to say thank you to her, to love her, to call her? Very little, if we are honest. We get so carried away by the tide of the day. I'm only looking to be loved, but am I really making a movement to actually love also? So Sri Aurobindo is saying the contact between the mother and child means not only that the mother should love the child, but the child should love the mother and obey her. You want to be the true child of the mother, but the first thing for that is to put yourself into her hands and let her guide you and to follow her will and not disregard it or revolt against it. This is the key, to put yourself into her hands rather than the hands of your ego and self-will.
This is the thing, how do you know you're following her will?
Uh,
Like that part,
hmm.
follow her will, listen to her pain.
Avinash, you won't know that, but at least to begin with, we are totally ruled by self-will and ego. That's where we are.
Yes.
At least have an aspiration. Mother, I want to know your will. I want my life to follow your will. And then don't take your judgments about life very seriously. That's the first step. If I've offered, for example, I've started, Vedanta is not available to me, but Purva Mimamsa is available to me. So I've started with a mantra, I've offered it to her, I've invited her in. Then whatever she does, whatever happens, my mind will keep coming and judging. This is good, this is bad. But he says to be to whatever extent we can, the dvandvatit, beyond dualities of good and bad. I have to drop this is good, this is bad. Or when the mind says it, I have to disregard it. I have to look through it. And then just see where she's taking me. And then not have this, how do I know it's your will? Take it on faith. I've invited you. You have said every sincere prayer is answered. If I have invited you with sincerity, you can't not answer my prayer. But am I...
Starting from a point of insincerity.
Then I will suffer till I come to sincerity. That's the whole point, no? The point is, Avinash, how much am I willing to let go of my ideas of right and wrong? And how much am I willing to trust mother more than I trust my reason? That's the question. That's where sincerity comes, because most of us, and particularly those of us who've developed a good intellect, which is a good instrument for her work, but it's a pitfall where the intellect will want supremacy over the mother. I'll want my will more than the mother's will. And that's where suffering will come, because the mother says, if I were to pander to your ego or your will, I'd be a traitor to your soul. She can't let that happen. So I will suffer till I come to a point where I'm battle weary. You know that term? I'm tired of fighting with life. And when I get battle weary, then I surrender. But I don't have to reach that point. The sunlit path is where I don't have to reach that point of battle fatigue, battle weary, where I'm saying, fine, mother, I'm doing what my buddhi tells me, but I'm surrendering to you. And I'm trusting that whatever will come, you're doing, and it's fine. I shouldn't get impatient. That's the point.
I want to say something.
Yeah.
So just as you know she's there,
Hmm.
if you get a voice from her, you know it's purpose. There is, even if you don't want to do that thing, you do.
Yes, Rama. Yes and no. Sometimes our mind can trick us into believing it's her voice.
No.
But sometimes when you know it's her voice, you can't doubt it.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah. But there are people I know who do all kinds of nonsense saying mother is guiding me to do it. So that also is, I mean, each one's individual. It's your equation with the mother. Nobody can tell you it's the mother's voice or it's your mind fooling you. That's for you to decide. But it can happen that you can do a lot of things and just say, I'm doing the mother's work and just do the ego's work.
But then your mind knows you're saying that now. If you
Some people don't have the sincerity or the, but we are not talking about some people. It's between you and the mother. You should know your sincerity and you should know when it's genuinely her will. But sometimes her will can come with such a firmness that I remember there was one child, she was having a very disturbed mental something, and but she is very connected to the mother. And when anything in you is out of balance, you'll keep attracting things to make you more out of balance. So when she was like that, she knows, she's very receptive. If she comes to Sarkar or she comes to a yoga class, she'll come out of it a different person. So I was having my yoga class and she messaged me, I can't come, I don't want to come. So I told her a lot, please come, you're in this state and you know you need to get out of it. And she's saying, no, I'm not coming. When I reached there, I saw her there. So I told her, how did you land up? She's saying, my mind kept saying no, no, no. But something was just moving my body. I walked, I reached here against my will. So sometimes her will can prevail in spite of yourself. And that's the saving grace. Thank God it does.
no, but sometimes until and unless you learn what you have to, it will keep coming back to you, the negativity. Sometimes I feel that mother will come at some point and then again that thing will repeat itself till we have finally learned what we have to.
Yes, but what I read that in this age, suffering is not a necessity. If you remember to open to the mother enough, at least the suffering can be diminished a lot. Maybe it will be there to teach you what you have to, but if you would suffer that much without her, with her at least you'll suffer this much.
Yeah, but I wanted to ask then how do we know that okay fine we have to we need to call out to her and we have learned what we have to and
I don't know your question. Can you be more specific?
that I
You need to call out to her all the time anyways.
He said no, but in the end, as he said something, it got very confusing. So
This Avinash always confuses. I'm kidding, yes.
no, so if I'm going through a process of negativity and I want to call out to her and it's not happening, that is because I still have little learning.
Huh.
Right?
Yes.
Yeah, that's what.
Yes. But still call out to her.
Learning less.
It may not go away instantly. I feel I've called to her and it should go away instantly. It doesn't work like that. But if you've called to her, she may work on it in your sleep. She may work on it in so many ways and it will become less eventually. Okay? It is part of the true mother's love not to do whatever the vital of the child demands. For she knows that it would be extremely bad for him. I told you, mother said, if I were to pander to your ego, I'd be a traitor to your soul. Do not obey the impulse of the vital, but follow rather your true perception and make yourself a channel for the will of the mother. Because her will is always that you should grow into your true being. Her will is always that you work from your higher nature than the lower nature. It's never her will that you should fall into anger, jealousy, or whatever else. The love which is turned towards the divine ought not to be the usual vital feeling which men call by that name, for that is not love but only a vital desire, an instinct of appropriation, the impulse to possess and monopolize. Not only it is not the divine love, but it ought not to be allowed to mix in the least degree in the yoga. The true love for the divine is a self-giving, free of demand, full of submission and surrender. It makes no claim, imposes no condition, strikes no bargain. That's the whole thing. It makes no condition. How do I know I've succeeded? How do I know you've answered me? You have to show me that you've heard me. All those are conditions. It makes no claim, imposes no condition, strikes no bargain, indulges in no violences of jealousy or pride or anger. Oh, mother, you showed so much grace to her. You didn't show me. You're being a stepmother to me. We have all these kind of jealousies, right? For those things are not in its composition. In return, the Divine Mother also gives herself, but freely, and this represents itself in an inner giving. Her presence in your mind, your vital, your physical consciousness, her power recreating you in the divine nature, taking up all movements of your being and directing them towards perfection and fulfillment. Her love enveloping you and carrying you in its arms Godwards. It is this that you must aspire to feel and possess in all your parts, down to the very material. And here, there is no limitation either of time or of completeness. If one truly aspires and gets it, there ought to be no room for any other claim, for any disappointed desire. And if one truly aspires, one does unfailingly get it, more and more as the purification proceeds and the nature undergoes its needed change. Okay, this is very important. Pay great attention. This is from Synthesis of Yoga. Here, the disharmonies of the triple mode of our inferior existence are overpassed. The triple mode is the three gunas, rajas, sattva, and tamas. Okay, tamas is inertia, laziness. Rajas is activity. Dark tamas can be ambition, anger. Dark rajas can be ambition, anger, aggression. Sattva is light or illumination.
So the three modes being like by
No, this this is a passage where the context is the three gunas. Here, the disharmonies of the triple mode of our inferior existence are overpassed, and there begins a greater triple mode of the divine nature. So beautifully, Sri Aurobindo writes that in the lower nature, the gunas are tamas, rajas, and sattva. But in the higher nature, the tamas changes to shanti, peace. Rajas changes to shakti, and sattva changes to jyoti, light. So that's the transformation that happens when the mother works on us. So here the disharmonies of the triple mode of our inferior existence are overpassed, and there begins a greater triple mode of a divine nature. There is no obscurity of tamas or inertia. Tamas is replaced by divine peace, shanti, and tranquil, eternal repose, rest, out of which is released from a supreme matrix of calm concentration, the play of action and knowledge. There is no rajasic kindnesses, no desire, no joyful and sorrowful striving of action. We were saying that in the lower nature, rajas brings all this as we work. Desire for success, fruit of success, joyfulness when I get limelight, sorrow when I'm criticized or I fail. All this is rajas in the lower nature. Creation and possession, no fruitful chaos of troubled impulse. So there, rajas will change to shakti, force, energy, kindnesses, but free of all this. Rajas is replaced by a self-possessed power, an illimitable act of force that even in its most violent intensities does not shake the immovable poise of the soul or stain the vast and profound heavens and luminous abysses of its peace. So beautiful, we see this in the life of both Mother and Sri Aurobindo. Once when we know on Siddhi day, when Krishna consciousness descended into Sri Aurobindo, next day Mother went to him and he just nonchalantly said, yes, Krishna descended. Now let's see what happens. There's no excitement in him. No, wow, I did this, etc., etc. And Mother, we've all read this, that once she came to a plane where various gods were coming down to her and talking to her. And something fantastic was happening. And she told Sri Aurobindo about it. And Sri Aurobindo said, this is good. This will make you very famous. You can start a great new religion, but this is not what we want. And she just uncreated the whole creation. Look at the level of detachment she had to her work. Here, little bit we succeed, we get so attached to it. Here, our role models gave away the highest achievements just because it was the need of the moment. That was the kind of shakti that possessed them. It was shakti without the element of the lower rajas. No attachment, no possessiveness to the work. There is no constructing light of mind casting about to seize and imprison the truth. No insecure or inactive ease. Sattva is replaced by an illumination and a spiritual bliss identical with the depth and infinite existence of the soul. An instinct with a direct and authentic knowledge that springs straight from veiled glories of the secret omniscience or secret all-knowing higher nature. This is the greater consciousness into which our inferior consciousness has to be transformed. This is the higher nature into which our lower nature has to be transformed. This nature of the ignorance, with its unquiet, unbalanced activity of the three modes, changed into this greater, luminous supernature. At first, we become free from the three gunas. So at first, we are able to witness the play of the three gunas. What is the play of the three gunas? Our thoughts, our emotions, our body, everything is made up of the three gunas. So at first, we become free from the three gunas, detached, untroubled, nistraigunya. But this is the recovery of the native state of the soul, the self, the spirit free and watching in its motionless calm, the motion of prakriti in her force of the ignorance. So first the witness, you don't get pulled by the gunas, you're able to watch them. If on this basis the nature, the motion of prakriti is also to become free, but this is not it. It must be by a quiescence, a silence of action, in a luminous peace and silence in which all necessary movements are done, without any conscious reaction or participation or initiation of action by the mind. I was saying this, in meditation, we reach a point where there is no initiation of action by the mind. No initiation of now I'll focus in the heart, now I'll do overhead. You're just there and you let her force work. Without any conscious reaction or participation or initiation of action by the mind or by the life being, without any ripple of thought or eddy of the vital paths, it must be done under the impulsion, by the initiation, by the working of an impersonal, cosmic, or a transcendent force. So, to sum it up, he's saying that we have to invoke the mother to transform the three gunas of the lower nature, tamas, rajas, and sattva, into shanti, shakti, and jyoti. And first step is to be a witness, to step back from everything that's happening, and in that silent state call down the mother's force to, because the Sri Aurobindo says again and again that however equipped you are in my yoga, you cannot do this yoga on your own. It's only the mother's force that can work in you and bring about the transformation you're seeking. So in a way, a huge chunk of the mother's work in us is to transform our existence from an egocentric, I-centric existence to a God-centric, mother-centric existence. Okay, so now let's sit quietly. Let's summarize this for ourselves. Vijay, shut the windows.
The last one.
Huh?
Last.
No, we are not doing that. So just sit quietly. And let's put in a nutshell how we can take this class into our life in a very practical way. So, we started by saying that two natures simultaneously live within us. The lower nature is the prakriti of ignorance, in which we live most of the time in those same cycles of anxiety, anger, resentment, jealousy. But we also have the higher nature in us. The higher nature is the divine presence within us. All those qualities of the mother's symbol, goodness, courage, generosity, peace, they exist within us simultaneously with the surface turmoil. It's like the Red Indian story. We harbor two wolves within us, the good wolf and the bad wolf. The wolf we feed is the wolf that grows. How do we feed the wolf of the higher nature? By constantly opening ourselves to the mother. In every activity we do, to invite her to come in and take our nature and transform it. Our lower nature is made up of the three gunas of tamas, inertia, rajas, activity, ambition, need for affirmation, fruit, reward, and sattva, light or illumination. But the whole of yoga, or a large chunk of it, is to open our nature to the mother's force so that the modality of the three gunas change. Tamas changes to shanti or peace. Rajas changes to shakti or sheer power, and sattva changes to jyoti, constant light, omniscience, all knowing, all conquering truth. So, simple ways to do this is to constantly be linked to the mother. When we wake up in the morning, for the first 1 hour, let's not look at our phone at all. Do whatever you do in that 1 hour to link yourself to the mother, whether it's listening to a talk, reading, meditating, walking, feeling her, different ways. And then we can have our own set of mantras before every activity. A thing well begun is half done. So before sleeping, we can have a mantra. Before working, we can have a mantra. We can have a mantra for each activity. And Sri Aurobindo, in fact, gives us these mantras. So before working, if I can say, all that is done in me by nature, I offer wholeheartedly for transformation to thee. So in me, I'm doing the work with ambition, with fear, with anxiety. That's nature. But I'm wholeheartedly offering it to thee for transformation. And then while working, let me be conscious of this nature popping up. Now I'm working with stress. Now I'm working with desire that I succeed. And one part of me, let me keep offering this prakriti to the mother. Not feeling bad that it's come up, just offering it to her. I've seen it, now you see it and do with it what you want. So, one key is when I'm working, I'm consumed by the desire for a particular outcome. Can I train my consciousness to make that secondary? Let the transformation of my nature while doing the work be the primary purpose. The secondary purpose, let it be the outcome. Or before sleeping, let your force take over my sadhana during sleep to make my sleep conscious and luminous, to protect me during the sleep and to keep me conscious of the mother. Or before meditating, may the mother's force take over my meditation and make it deep, steady, concentrated, and free from all attacks of troubling thoughts, vital restlessness. And now, just bring your awareness over your head. This is one way of opening to the mother's light. Now, in the beginning, most of us will say, yeah, my attention is there, but I'm not maybe feeling anything. That's fine. Just keep your attention in the overhead space without any ambition to call down this, to feel this. Just like Nandi bull sitting outside the Shiva temple, Shiva may be in meditation for years and centuries. Nandi will wait patiently for Shiva to come and ride it. So, at least for me, I draw my inspiration for meditation from Nandi, just waiting. Whenever Shiva chooses to come and ride. So just focus your awareness about the head and do nothing. No desire to feel anything, no desire to call down anything, just a desire to give yourself to the mother. like a flower giving itself to the sun, and waiting like Nandi. I'm just going to be quiet. Now it's between you and the mother. In fact, it always has been.